This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nashay Taylor. We are in for a hectic week in weather. 3 first alert weather days have already been issued for the upcoming week. Jim is here now to fill us in on our forecast. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Nashay, that's right. We have first alert weather days in effect for a majority of this week, from Tuesday through Wednesday into Thursday, as a winter storm is headed our way. So what can we expect? Well, we can expect impacts to start on Monday evening as rain and some mixed precip make its way in from the south. And then on Tuesday, the heavy snow begins. In the east, we'll see some ice there and the winds will pick up, and that will continue into Wednesday, and then we'll continue even more into Thursday. Now, that wind will be an issue all 3 days, so blowing snow will be an issue for folks on the road. Up in Grand Forks, though, things are looking pretty calm right now. The temperature there is 28 degrees. Here in Fargo, it's 23 degrees. Out west, it's much colder there. Jamestown sitting at 7 with Oaks at 5 degrees, and that's because those clouds, as well as the fog, have been in effect for much of the east part of our area for much of the day. And those clouds can help keep the heat in through much of the day. And that's why we're seeing those chillier temperatures out there. Here in Fargo tonight, we're going to see those temperatures drop to about 10 degrees, but after that, they'll remain pretty steady until morning, only dropping into about 9 degrees by around 8 a.m. as we keep those clouds in effect. Now, Nashay, I'll have more information in a few minutes about what we can expect with that winter storm on its way.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim. New tonight, emergency crews were called to the area of 44th Avenue South and 45th Street after a vehicle crashed into 2 homes. In this video, you can see the 2 separate houses damaged from that specific crash. According to dispatch audio, the driver had backed into one of the garages and then later the other. Dispatchers also said the driver was not hurt. We'll have more information on this story as it becomes available. Snowy and icy conditions may be the cause for a 2-vehicle crash in Becker County that happened earlier today that left 3 people injured. The crash happened on Highway 34, about 25 minutes east of Detroit Lakes. A pickup truck and an SUV were both on Highway 34, but traveling in opposite directions of each other when they collided head-on. An incident report says snow and ice impacted the road conditions. All 3 were not seriously hurt. Another 3 people were injured in another crash, this time in Polk County, about another 25 minutes north of East Grand Forks. The crash happened this morning at the intersection of 340th Avenue and 120th Street. Authorities say the driver of an SUV did not stop for another passing SUV in the intersection. All parties involved were treated at a Grand Forks hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. New information in last night's crash on University Drive near the pedestrian bridge. The Moorhead man is seriously hurt in the incident and has been identified. Highway Patrol says Robbie Nihos of Moorhead was driving a pickup that went off the road and entered a ditch, striking a concrete pillar that supports the walking bridge. A principal at a West Fargo public school is looking to resign. The West Fargo School Board is expected to, quote, review and take action on a release of a contract request from Jeffrey Johnson during Monday's meeting. Johnson is the principal at Freedom Elementary. The agenda item did not disclose any further information. It is alleged that Johnson wants out following possible complaints filed against him. As of this afternoon, a staff directory search produces no results for Johnson. Early this fall, parents were sent an email stating Johnson would be on leave for an undetermined amount of time. Connor Erickson, the high school football captain with a devastating brain injury, returns home to Brainerd. Erickson's recovery included emergency brain surgery, then a rehab at Mayo Clinic. Jonah Kaplan shares the play-by-play for Connor's big personal win and his next battle ahead.
A victory unlike any other and under a different kind of Friday Night Lights. How fitting for Connor Erickson to get a police and fire escort back home in Brainerd, when more than 3 months ago it was an ambulance that took him away. Friday's homecoming capping a 3-month stay at hospitals in Fargo and then Mayo Clinic.
To not knowing what was going to happen to him and how he was going to recover and all that. It was kind of breathtaking.
Connor's teammate Brandon Stark overcome with emotion to see his friend and captain.
What was the example he just showed you?
Anything's possible, really. I mean, you can come from anywhere. Whatever your situation is that you can strive and overcome from that.
To keep it in football terms, Friday's party, a touchdown and a kickoff. The end of a drive, the start of a new one. A lot of challenges for Connor remain. But seriously, I'm not going to bet against this kid.
Really, his struggle right now is taking the words that he has in his mind, in his brain, and actually vocalizing them. That's the toughest part, I guess, cognitively that he has right now. And then, physically too, his right side isn't at full range of motion yet. It's getting way better. Every single day is a little bit better.
Connor not the only one home for the first time since September. His mom, Trina, never left his side.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said on Thursday that she's calling for an immediate review of the state's investments to determine if it has stakes in Chinese companies. Her office wants the South Dakota Investment Council, which oversees a $19 billion portfolio for the state's pension fund and other trust funds, to review its investments for ties to Chinese companies within 7 days. She argued that all Chinese companies are tied to the country's Communist Party. The Supreme Court announced yesterday that it will hear a case being pushed by the Biden administration over encouraging illegal immigration. President Joe Biden's administration is seeking to revive a federal law that makes it a criminal offense to encourage illegal immigration. The move comes after it was struck down by a lower court as a violation of free speech rights. A ruptured pipe dumped about 14,000 barrels of oil this week into a northeastern Kansas creek. It's the largest onshore crude pipeline spill in 9 years, according to federal data. The spill raised questions from environmentalists and safety advocates about whether TC Energy should keep a federal government permit that has allowed the pressure inside parts of its Keystone system, citing there had been 22 previous spills along the Keystone system since it began operating back in 2010. A new report finds big oil companies have been misleading consumers about plans to address climate change while raking in record profits. The House Oversight Committee held a year-long investigation into, quote, greenwashing by the fossil fuel industry. Lawmakers discovered oil companies promised action but did not follow through with tangible changes. The report said BP announced in 2020 it would be a net zero company by 2050, yet internal documents did not align with that. Former President Donald Trump will not be held in contempt of court for failing to comply with a grand jury subpoena. A federal judge did not grant the Justice Department's contempt request yesterday. The DOJ's request comes after more documents marked classified were discovered in a storage unit near Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. That discovery came after a subpoena for any classified documents in the former president's possession. Some members of the community indulged in a fun-filled day of holiday cheer. That's later on Valley News Live at 10.
And today we're actually well above our normal highs and normal lows, a good 13 degrees above our normal low of 23 degrees. But we have those first alert weather days on the horizon thanks to that winter storm, and I'll have details about the track and timing with that coming up next.